Good afternoon, it's Pastor Marty from the Afternoon Drive. So, what are they afraid of? We have been listening now nonstop for the past 24 hours that Attorney General William Barr is worse now than Donald Trump. Adam Schifferbrain said he is the second most dangerous man in America. Jerry the Nads Nadler keeps referring to Trump as a dictator and that he's got Barr under his thumb. Yet while all they're screaming and bloviating over that, we have the New York Times committing a random act of journalism, and they have now actually outed the plan by the FBI that put a plant into the pre-Trump administration. Mr. Papadopoulos, who spent, 14 hours in jail because he lied to the Mueller investigation, met a young woman, or was introduced to a young woman, who just happened to be Russian. And she was an FBI plant designed to get to Papadopoulos, and I think we know how, that he would bring her into the inner circle of Trump world. She was supposed to be a spy, a plant within the Trump organization by the FBI, not by the Kremlin, not by the KGB, the FBI, the Jim Comey FBI. Remember when Trump said he was being spied on and the mainstream lying legacy corporate corrupt propaganda media laughed at him and said, he's insane. This man can't be president. He thinks he's being spied on by the intelligence community. Ta-da! Turns out he was. When we want to talk about collusion, we now have the Ukraine saying outright, hey, the DNC came to us, wanted to know if we had any dirt on Donald Trump. Wouldn't you call that collusion? And as we hear Hillary Rodham Clinton, she's back out there, isn't it amazing? Post-Mueller report, post-Attorney General William Barr, now all of a sudden, Hillary, who has been, like in witness protection, in hiding, is now out making the circuit, in particular on PMSNBC and sitting down with Rachel Madcow and others, as asserting that the Mueller report absolutely proves that there was Russian interference in the election. Why? There was a county in Florida that the Russians actually got into the whole process. And why didn't Mueller go after this? She's still trying to assert that Russians actually changed votes from Hillary to Trump. Why is she out there? Why are the Democrats acting like right now they're going insane? They are going insane because the real end, the real deal, is about to be exposed.
There is now reporting that Robert Mueller, the special counsel, knew a year ago, that there was no collusion with the Russians. He knew a year ago there was no collusion with the Russians. Did he tell the President of the United States that they had found no collusion? Did anyone say, hey, by the way, Mr. President, you're in the clear? No. For a year, they let the President of the United States dangle, worried that the intelligence apparatus of the United States government, the Department of Justice, was probing every aspect of his presidency. So, I mean, were they looking for President Trump or people around him to prevent an investigation into a non-crime? In other words, were they trying to entrap the President of the United States to commit obstruction?
That's what she was saying.
To attempt obstruction. This is the FBI investigating the President of the United States. Right. They find evidence to clear the President of the United States, but they don't tell him, leaving him to dangle. And all of this noise that you're hearing now, forgetting that it was about collusion, wasn't it? Wasn't it supposed to be about the allegations or the appearance that the President of the United States was conspiring with our dread enemies, the Russians, to fix the election? If that's what it was about and they knew that it was clear, they should have told him.
I'm so sick and tired now of listening to Republicans still try to legitimize what Robert Mueller did to our president. And that includes you, Lindsey Graham. Now, you've made a lot of strides forward, but this calling that you feel you have to keep explaining that Bob Mueller's a good man, he's for law, he was very, 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 very thorough. No. He knew well over a year ago the president was guilty of not guilty of any obstruction. And he said nothing. And he not only allowed this to continue to be played out in the media every day and the president vilified and called a traitor and basically ripped this country apart, and half of them actually thinking that a Russian agent was sitting in the Oval Office, and still do, by the way. You know, Rush Limbaugh made a brilliant point yesterday on his radio show. You know, he said in his opening monologue, he said, you know, the Mueller report, or I should say the Steele dossier didn't exactly work out like they hoped. They hoped that the Steele dossier would come out, you know, that immediately Trump would have to resign because, you know, he'd hired prostitutes to pee on Obama's bed in Russia, and, you know, because that's what a Mitt Romney would have done or a George W. Bush would have done, and, you know, that, and FISA warrants and illegally spying on the president, all a result of the dossier. Hillary and her cohort spent $10 million on that piece of paper. And what incredible dividends it has paid for them. Look what it is still doing to us. Even though it's been completely disproven and discredited. Look what it's still doing. And Mueller knew all of this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mueller went into this knowing Donald Trump didn't commit any collusion because it was a totally, completely fabricated and made up assertion. And Mueller knew that from day one. He was coming in to protect the president he served, Obama, his weaponized intelligence agencies under the direction of John Brennan and James Comey. Mueller came in to buy them time to cover over what they had done, and hopefully two things: force the president to resign or be impeached while the drama played on, or at least get him on entrapment, get him to perjure himself. I said when this all broke out and people said, here he goes on his pastor right-wing nut stuff, I said, the Bible teaches very clearly, a curse causeless shall not come. God has a way of taking something like that and making it boomerang back on the people that did it. And that's what we're seeing unfold. And now it's high time that these people be brought to justice. The reason they're going so hot and heavy after Attorney General William Barr, he will bring them to justice. That's it. That's my Friday program. Thank you so much for joining us. Hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Tell somebody else about the channel. Thank you so much for sharing this channel with others. I really appreciate that. And make sure that you've hit the bell to get notification of my next rant.